What's going on, everybody? My name is Randy. I wanted to start this potentially new series. This is just a tester to see how you guys feel about it. But I want to talk about life lessons that I learn in the studio as an audio engineer that's been going full time for 16 years. I started around 2000 or so. So that would be almost 26 years of making music, learning lessons by working with a lot of different musicians. I was lucky enough in the beginning to be able to work with a lot of different artists with a lot of different styles and things like that. It really helped me become an engineer by trying to understand how all these different artists work. Every single person is different. They all approach music from a different perspective. These artists brought a lot of lessons to the table, and I tried to absorb it this whole time because I love learning how other people like to do things. The first thing that I want to talk about is songwriting. I've noticed over the years that songwriting gets a very soft approach from a lot of artists. I basically just made everybody mad and everybody left. But what I mean by that is people, when they write, they like to hit that reward center of their brain. There's something about writing a certain way for them that fulfills their love for writing and performing music. There are the mainstream songwriters out there that write songs for the mainstream. Surprise. And they love to work on the science of songwriting. Basically, how can you tell a story in the format of a song? We as human beings love to tell stories. We love to frame ideas in ways that communicates to other people. When you're writing a song, that's your job. Your job is to understand what that story is and figure out how to package that for your audience. Your job is to communicate your feelings, how you feel, what the emotion is, and that's the story that you tell. There's a lot of great songwriters out there that don't really overthink this and they just happen to get it right. But there's a lot of people that don't. And there's a lot of skills that you can pay attention to improve your songwriting. So let's talk about a couple of those things. Let's start with the 3 levels of songwriting. This is a concept that I started thinking about a really long time ago, over 15 years ago. It kind of breaks down the levels of songwriting in a way where you can use as a guideline to write your songs. But by no means do you have to follow these rules, but just understanding how these 3 things work, you could ask the question, which level am I writing for right now? And it will help you understand where you're going with the song. The first level of songwriting is the most obvious. I want you to be able to explain what the song is about in 1 to 2 sentences. If you could explain it in the title, that could potentially be even better. Now, you don't have to obviously say, like, I walked into a store and I bought a candy bar. That's the name of the song. You are going for a title that when people think of the song and they've heard it before, maybe they've heard it a couple times, what are the lyrics that are catchy, that they want to hear, that gets them, that reminds them of what the song is about, that they could go look up? This is one of the most important parts of songwriting. This is like the equivalent of YouTube having thumbnails and titles for the YouTube video. A weak title and thumbnail won't get clicks. It won't have people remembering if they want to watch it later or not. We're sitting here working on these titles, the concept of the song in the simplest form. What is the song about? I don't want to hear a paragraph for your answer. I want to hear 1, possibly 2 sentences that could explain the song. And I understand that songs can be much deeper than that. But don't worry, because there are 2 other levels of songwriting that we're going to get into. The second level of songwriting is your verses. It's when you could take the context of that 1 to 2 sentences and elaborate on that. This is your chance to tell the story. This is your chance to really let them get involved into the song, get deeper into the song. That first level of songwriting is more focused on what the chorus is doing. because the chorus is usually supposed to be simple and catchy. Think about the chorus as level 1. Think about the verses as level 2. Your ability to tell these stories in these verses is incredibly important. And I don't mean by packing it with a ton of lyrics. This is a huge mistake that a lot of songwriters make. Their verses are way too busy. They are way too cluttered trying to fill in every single thing they could possibly think about for the song. And it makes their verses longer. It makes their pre-hooks longer. It makes them have more verses in a song. You don't want to over-explain things in this level of songwriting. You need to say the things that you need to say in a very clear manner, in a way that could be like a chronological story, or just moments in time that then kind of collect into what the feeling of the hook should be. But you don't want to overstate your lyrics. It still needs to flow like a real song. The third level of songwriting is about the things that you don't say. When you're in your second level of songwriting, you are going to be elaborating on what the song is about. But if you put too much of that into it, you will sacrifice the ability for your audience to connect with those lyrics. What I mean by that is you want them to fill in the story with their own lives. And if you make it too detailed, it's going to be harder for them to really connect with those lyrics. This is why a lot of like artsy songwriters have very vague things that people will discuss what they think the song is about. And that's a great way to hook somebody into an idea and get them thinking about the song. If you just say, I'm coming into a store, I walk in, I go to the candy bar aisle, I pick up a candy bar, I walk to the clerk, pay for the candy bar, I walk out of the store. That doesn't leave you any room to kind of imagine exactly what's going on. But you could explain aspects of that store that you were feeling as you walked into that store. The audience can kind of like get led into imagining all the rest of the details that you could have said. And it might allow them to also change the story a little bit person to person. So when you're thinking about these three levels of songwriting, obviously it's not evenly across the board of importance. Every song is different, and every song is better or worse depending on which amount of pressure that you put on each one of these levels. So I think it's a really good thing to be able to ask yourself as you're writing a song, which level am I appealing to? Which amount of weight am I putting on each level? And how can I adjust that potentially to get the desired storytelling outcome? Again, we're telling stories. Even pop songs, bubblegum pop songs, some of them have much better storytelling and songwriting abilities than some of your introspective style artists. And I think a lot of people think pop music is easy, but it's really not. You're talking about some of the best songwriters competing for songwriting placements. And if you listen to a lot of these songs, there are in-depth versions of these three levels. You might realize that it's all about that first and that third level of songwriting. And they only give you a little bit of that second level to kind of fill in the gaps and use it as a tool to bring you to that third level, which is you thinking about those individual things. If you're thinking about your favorite songs, go re-listen to them and think about these three levels of songwriting. What made them impact you? Besides the sonic characteristics of the song, of course, what are the things that they were saying that really stood out to you as an important thing? You know, in the rap world, I don't know about now, but back in the day, there would be like, who's your top 5 rappers of all time? And there's always been this ongoing discussion on who people think their top 5 is. A lot of what influences those decisions is how well that songwriting connects with that person. They might say certain things, they might say certain phrases that connect with you on a deeper level somehow or another. Obviously, that's not the only thing about a song is the lyrics, but we're talking about songwriting, so I'm going to talk about it. You know that story of a fan saying, I felt like you wrote that song for me. This is where this comes from. That level 3 of songwriting allowed that person to fill in, to pour their lives into that song. And it really helped them connect. Because, connection isn't just you displaying something and then them just receiving it and then that's it. No, they have to reach out and connect with those lyrics in that song. So I think you guys should try it. I mean, I think that these are just tools that can help guide you to figuring out what kind of song you are making and what kind of story you want to tell. Sometimes it's really heavily focused on level 1, where you are just focusing on just saying simple phrases that have to do with the point of the song. This could be something that influences your branding. So let's just say you are somebody who wants to develop your archetype, who you are, your character, as somebody who is political or something. That's going to lean heavily into that second tier of songwriting. If you want to be more poetic, you might lean into that third level of songwriting, where you are saying things for people to try to figure out why you're saying those things. Let me know if this is something you guys are interested in, and if this is something that you guys want to actually have me do more episodes of. Every day I'm in session with artists, working on songs and talking about music. There's a lot of things that I've learned along the way, and if there are topics that you want me to talk about or anything like that, let me know in the comments. The comments tell me everything, more than just hitting a like button or anything like that. I love the feedback. I'm trying to get better at this. I'm trying to get you guys to get better at this as well. And we can all be learning at the same time. So this is a little video idea that I had. I figured I would try out and see if you guys liked it. Again, if there's anything you guys want to hear, let me know.